The Sonic 2 movie. I saw it on Friday, 6 p.m. showing. The audience was, kids. You got some young adults, 20s. I don't know. I don't really look at them in the eyes, but this is the beginning of this video will be the spoiler free. Then I'll go into the spoilers a little bit. So I'll just make one video. We gotta be quick. Very busy. Alright, so Sonic movie. Overall, I'd say see it if you have it. If you have kids or something, see it. I think it's a good kid movie. Like back in my day, I had Toy Story. This is what they got now. They got Sonic. This is a solid kid movie. I'm not sure if there's gonna be another good one soon. This is pretty good. You don't have to see the first one to see this one. I don't think so. Nah, not really. What do they know? No, it's pretty good. It makes me want to see the first one more. I haven't really seen the first one, only in big chunk clips, not the entire thing. There could be a couple of things I missed, but I like this movie. It was really good. Without spoiling it, everyone did good. I feel like there were some slow parts in the middle. The end really is the meat and potatoes. The beginning's it lets you know about Sonic more. If it's the first time you're watching it, I think. In the middle, it's kind of okay, what's going on. Then the end, it's okay, that's the Sonic. That's the Sonic. Is that a spoiler? Probably. Well, it's too late now. What else can I say that's not a spoiler? Oh, I guess I could have said more. I gotta do the whole movie. I'll keep going. All the acting was good. I feel like Knuckles had an interesting voice. Very unique Knuckles. I think they made him a little not smart. Why? Was he ever dumb? He sounds cool though. I think that's a spoiler. What's not a spoiler? I'm just gonna title this as a spoiler review. Pretty much. I think all the acting was good. The action scenes were good. The sound effects are good. The dialogue's good. What would I know? It's good. There's nothing too cheesy. Or it's oh, I gotta get out of here. I gotta go home. No, that's good. You don't feel too embarrassed being there. It's good, I was front row. I was with everybody. The audience was pretty reactive. I was trying to help them out a little, react to. I think people are waiting for other people to react to, then okay, I'll cheer too. That's pretty much the vibe that was there. What else? The action scene's good. I would see it again I'm okay though. I think I'm good. There's a bunch of clips on YouTube. What else can I say? Alright, so I'm gonna go more into the spoiler territory. Warning, a little bit, not too much. I'll warn you when I go more into the spoilers. What can I say now? The music, I didn't really notice any music. It was mainly I don't know, nothing really stood out except the ending credits music. Okay, so the beginning, it shows Sonic fun side. He's a loner, and then Tails. It's surprising. I'm not gonna get into that right now. Tails. The middle felt like a drag because there was a wedding going on. And, Sonic was not on the screen for 10 minutes. I was okay, we're just watching some other movie now. Robotnik. Jim Carrey did great, pretty good. He said he did a lot of improv. And they selected only a small portion of that, but it seemed like a lot still. And I think they did a good job editing it all together, making it work. It was good to see Jim Carrey running around, doing some physical stuff for sure. Running around in tombs. Him side by side with Knuckles. I love seeing villains and good guys getting together. He can pretend to be good. That counts, I think. That's kind of good. That's interesting that a villain could team up. I always find that dynamic interesting. as someone put before. I talked about this with someone. Yeah, it's like an anti-hero thing going on there. The ending, interesting. You know, I feel like this movie's like, if this came out like when Dragon Ball IRL live action movie came out, would it still get this much praise, or was that Dragon Ball movie just that bad? I feel like it's kind of like that. Like, it's not entirely like the game, but people liking it. Like, what happened to Dragon Ball that was so bad? It was probably just bad. All right, I'm gonna go more into spoilers here. I'm not holding back anymore. So, when Robotnik comes back, I felt like there was a subtle thing where Stone was like, "Oh my God, he's bald." I felt like Stone was like, "Oh my God, he's really a different person." I don't know if anyone caught on this, but when Stone saw Robotnik come back, I feel like he was thinking, he's not the same Robotnik that I liked fully. I think he but then at the end, toward the end, he seemed like he liked him just as much. So I don't know. I guess that's fine. That was just a random thing I felt. Like he was taken aback by the presence of Robotnik. Like he wasn't the same guy. That was a touching scene when he was making the lattes and then some guy just mixed it up. He mixed up his art like it was nothing. It's very poetic. Sonic. I don't feel much about the two humans, Sonic's parents. That's kind of a weird thing going on there. I'm your dad. Like, he really wants to be Sonic's dad. Kind of creepy, to be honest, but I guess that works. Sonic really must be young here. He's like, it's a different universe. It's before, like, even the first game. I thought Tails knew him. I thought Tails knew Sonic, but if you find out that Tails is the first time they're meeting, so that was interesting, too. I thought Knuckles also knew Sonic. I don't know what the owl... I don't know who that owl was. I have no idea what that was about. Was that even the first time in the games? First time in the movie? First new character? Like, what's... The owl's so random. I thought Chaos... So this is the spoiler territory. By the reminder, I thought Chaos was going to be in this movie. Like, I was... Once I saw, like, every water scene or, like, manhole scene, I was like, oh my God, are they going to bring Chaos into the movie? I was, like, really getting hyped. But he wasn't there, but maybe in the next one. He might be in the next one. They're going down that route, or at least the Biolizard. Because at the end, big spoilers, Shadow's there. That was epic. That was the most hyped I was during the whole movie. Even though you knew it was coming. But it was still hyped. It made it more hyped, kind of. Because like everyone was like, it really is it. And we just love to see Shadow. It just reminded me of his theme song. It's like so badass. After the second game, you feel like just another character, but the first time, I love it when he's first there. It's like the kind of villain arc there. He really is cool. I gotta play the other games. I gotta play Shadow the Hedgehog, see what it's all about. But yeah, that was hype. That was hype. The Mystic Ruins was a great scene where Eggman and Knuckles were running around. As I said before, that was one of the best scenes in the movie, I think, for me. I thought that was really cool. I thought it was even more cool that Robotnik got the Master Emerald, because usually the bad guy loses there, but he got it. I was like, oh, this is interesting. You never see that in the games, where he actually gets the emeralds and stuff. I guess he does, but he gets like the Matrix powers. He turns into like Neo. That's pretty cool. That's probably why Jim Carrey agreed to this, because it was so different. And he was like doing all these gimmicks. It was really cool. Since he got the Master Emerald, the movie just got extremely good. Like, that's when it gets good. It was interesting to see the Chaos Emeralds were small. Maybe they get bigger, but Knuckles repaired it at the end. I was like, why is the Master Emerald so small? I guess that's why, because they can hold it and bring it around, bring it places. That makes sense. Yeah, I can agree to that. I accept that. It's like that. The Master Emeralds are the size of what a Chaos Emerald pretty much would be, a little bigger. The end when he's like trying to stomp Sonic. I love how Eggman dances with the robot and dances. That's like the cutest thing. And the sound effects for the robot, it was so good. Pretty cool. Without that Master Emerald, it would take him forever to build that robot. That was like a full-fledged Eggman robot boss, okay? Tails got the plane, even though it has guns on it. I guess he put the guns on there. I was like, why is there guns on the plane that was at the wedding? I guess he put those on. He made it his own. He yoinked the plane. Gun kidnapped Sonic. That was scary. Sonic almost was dead. They actually caught Sonic. The human actually helped there, whatever his name was. The sheriff. He doesn't even seem like a sheriff anymore. That was kind of creepy. Sonic was kidnapped. That was terrible. That could have ended so badly. But yeah, it's a good movie. Pretty good. I didn't see Batman twice. I didn't see Sonic twice. I would, but I don't know. I'm okay. Next up is Harry Potter Grindelwald. Next week. Anything else I could say about the movie? What else? The Knuckles battle was pretty good. It felt realistic, as real as it can get. That he can match up with Sonic there without Sonic just running away. Sonic wouldn't run away. Why would he? It doesn't make sense for him to just run unless he has no chance. Tails driving a car was hilarious. He ran over Knuckles. Jim Carrey licking the freaking windshield. And then when Sonic was underwater, he sucked up the bubble. I was like the only one who was like, whoa, that's awesome, in the theater. That's a reference to the game where he's underwater. If you're a gamer, okay? I know this as a gamer. It shows Tails picking up Sonic for the first time. And Knuckles. What else can I say? All those parts I liked. I liked those parts. I love to see Robotnik interact with the police. Like, they're not taking his crap anymore. I think Sonic cursed. He said crap. He said, holy crap, in the movie. What part was that? Holy crap. That was pretty surprising. Even more surprising, Jim Carrey said a line. I don't even repeat it. He said, holy sit Atsu or something. I can't believe that got through. He said another thing too. He had a couple of edgy lines. Definitely improv. What else can I say? So the next movie, so they showed Shadow. So that's really epic. It seems they're gonna go down they're gonna do the Maria arc. How can they not? They're giving what the fans want. How can they just not give them what they want for the next movie? They showed Shadow, the space colony arc, 50 years. How can they not do the Maria backstory? They have to do like the Bio-Lizard or Chaos, one of those. It's gotta be one of those for the next movie. That's really hype. Shadow. I wonder if they're gonna show Shadow in the trailers when the new one's announced. Or they're just not gonna show anything. So the real question is Jim Carrey gonna come back? I think he will. Or they could just make Jim Carrey's Professor Gerald's in the movie. I think he died though. Or they could just have Maria or just Shadow. They could just do Shadow. No, but they said Eggman got away at the end. That was weird. How the heck did he get away anyway? He pretty much fell backwards. I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out. Stone was there. Maybe Stone just was getting away from the scene. He wasn't saving Eggman. So maybe it's Stone and Shadow. That'd be weird. Jim Carrey might return. It's 50-50, I think. He really wants to retire, but I don't see why he wouldn't. He did. Why would he just leave? He knows how much people like this movie. And plus, the reception it's getting, it made $71 million so far. It's not even the end of Sunday. It's the biggest release of superhero movie. Video game movie. Box office, something like that. Some big news. So congrats to the Sonic fans and kids movie fans. The kids. I'm glad they have some good movie to go to. It's a good experience. Yeah. I went to, I got a big theater. I think it was an IMAX theater, but it was like the same price as a regular one. It was like 17 bucks. Solid, you know. Good experience. It's good going early. I like going earlier to the movies. Pretty nice. I'm probably gonna go earlier for the Harry Potter one. Check out that crowd. It was a different crowd from Batman, that's for sure. Batman, pretty much everyone was silent, except for the really cool parts. This, people were talking. They were talking. The seats were kicking. You know, there was drinks spilling more. It was more lively crowd, for sure. For better or worse. What else can I say? I don't think this review is very good, to be honest. Oh yeah, the chemistry between the two humans, I don't really feel much about that. I don't think there's anything there, to be honest. Kind of weird. Just the whole thing's weird. They're trying to put the humans in, I feel, just to have them. But whatever. We'll see what happens. I think the first one, they were good. From what I saw. The second one didn't really feel... At the end, it felt like they mattered more. But, I don't know. It's fine. No biggie. They might... So the next one, I think they're probably going to add Rouge the Bat in there. But someone said there was like a Easter egg of another character. I don't know what that was. So you never know. It could not be predictable. I'm not sure what else to say. I can't remember too much else. What else is there? The snowboard scene was really cool. Again, I love to see Knuckles not just be overpowered by Sonic or vice versa. There was a battle going on there. Some philosophy stuff. Honor. Knuckles questioning Eggman's honor. And even though Eggman said, yeah, I don't have honor, it was cool to see Knuckles not just flat out say, okay, I'm done. He still stuck around just to see just how much he was a jerk before actually saying, okay, I quit. I'm done. That's it. You're done. Pretty good. Pretty good, though. Yeah, I think we're good. What else can I say? Oh, I teared up at some moments when Sonic was going to sleep with Tails and he covered him up with the blanket. That was very touching. And like all the friendship stuff. Your friends are your power. You know, being an older gentleman with losing all my friends. You know, that really hit home. No, it's good. And then, what was the other part? There was another part. Oh, God. I guess Knuckles and Sonic on the island. On the beach. Oh, they said some weird stuff there. Touching stuff. Just seeing Sonic getting the big W. Just winning in the theater was a nice experience. It's a good time to be a Sonic fan. There was something else I wanted to say. Oh, let me pause it. I could pause it. I don't know. The beginning of the movie was cool. Him on the Mushroom Island, mastering the mushrooms. That was cool. I like how he still wears his goggles even though they're broken. It's the principle. But that's pretty much it. That's all I can remember. Let me just make sure. Let me pause it one more time. Oh yeah, the sound effects when the Chaos Emeralds went into Sonic. That was really cool. A little thing like that. Little sound effects really help. They were really good. They were really good. I got this toy at GameStop for like 20 bucks or 30. It was like the comic Sonic. I think it's pretty cool. Interesting design. Yeah, all right. I'll end it there. I think I'd say see it in theaters. I don't think it's a must-see in theaters. I don't think that's true. I think I saw YouTube clips at home. I think the clips look way better than the theater, to be honest. But yeah, you could. It's a good experience. Have fun. Enjoy the movies, whatever. Thanks for watching. If you watched this far, I don't know how you did it. But, yeah, see you for the Grindelwald's review. I saw it yesterday, the second one, with friends to a little refresher. Actually, I didn't see that movie in its entirety either, I don't think. So I did now, for sure. I gotta work on that. Alright. Have a good day, everybody.